Okay, so I kind of created a similar diagram to what you had. I tried to copy it as much as I could. So when you're trying to find the producer surplus and consumer surplus, you're looking for basically the bottom half and top half of a triangle. So normally we can go from this equilibrium price right here, right? And so this line kind of jaded. You see it at the 90 is usually the split between the consumer surplus up here and the producer surplus down here. So usually with that, A and B would be the consumer, A, B, and D actually would be the consumer surplus, and C and F would be the producer surplus. However, you added in the world price, I don't know why it says supply, it should be price. Yes, yeah. World price. When you add that in, this country decides to start exporting because they have the comparative advantage, so the price goes up to 110. So people there, the demand, which is this line right here, the domestic demand goes down, but the supply will go up to here, to right here, on that line, because they can export that and still make money off of it. So now what you're looking at is, instead of your traditional, big triangle right here, this big triangle right here, you now have to add G into that. So the producer surplus becomes more like a right triangle in this essence. Sorry, it's hard to draw a recording. Becomes more like that right triangle, and then the consumer surplus just becomes A. So now, when you add that export to it, you're basically shifting from this equilibrium price, which I'll quickly make a solid line. So while beforehand you were just worrying about A, B, D, C, and F, and this equilibrium price would make the consumer surplus A, B, and D, and the producer CF, now that moves up with the world price because they can afford to make it more expensive. So now you're adding G, B, and D to the producer surplus, and the consumer surplus falls to just A. So obviously it's still a triangle, so you still do the same thing. So you're just going to take the 30 all the way to 110 here for this case, so that's 80 along this side, and you got 0 down here, and it goes all the way out to 40, right? So you do 80 times 40, and then you divide that by 2, and 80 times 40 is, I want to say 2,400, and then divide by 2 is 1,200, and then you have A, which is 110 to 140, so that's 30, and it just goes to 80, so 30 times 18, which, I believe is for some, I can't, but the same principle applies there. Then you add them up for the total surplus, and whatever A is your consumer, and whatever all of these are is your producer after that. So hope that helps.